What up, Cane fans? Welcome back to the show. Tuesday night edition of Cafecito and Canes. We are here to, initially we were here to react about the rankings, the CFP rankings supposed to come out tonight. They were supposed to originally start the show at 7. Of course, that got delayed because of the game that's happening right now. So, we'll wait on that. We'll keep an eye on the rankings updates. And I know you guys in the chat will keep me up to date as well. But we're here to talk about that, and we're also here to go over the Vatech game from this past weekend, a couple of days ago. So before I get into that, please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. And so Miami beats Virginia Tech 34-17. I nailed my prediction, by the way. IMAX is saying we are 12. All right. Let me go to the Google machine and see what is going on. CFP rankings. I mean, I believe you, don't get me wrong, but let me just see if it's posted where I can see it as well, just to get that double confirmation. I'm looking at last week's. Week 12. Okay, week 13 is not popping up yet. All right. I will take your word for it. Miami at 12. Okay. All we have to do is win. Listen, us not getting dropped to 13 was big. I was a little nervous about that. But yeah, that's big. Us being at least 12. Flo is live and reacting with you, Heard. Yeah. Hey, it's a big one. Go Canes. Let's go, John. Go Canes, John. Let's go. Yeah. No, that's good. That's good news. Because if we were 13 or lower, we would have been kind of on the outside looking in. We would have needed a lot of help. At 12, things could happen. You go out and beat a ranked Pittsburgh team, which, by the way, was Pittsburgh ranked? That's also very important. Let me know if on the new rankings, Pittsburgh snuck into like 23 or 24. Because if you go on the road and beat a ranked Pitt team, let's say you cover the spread, you beat them by 10, you beat them by 13 points, something like that. Yes. He's saying yes. Okay. So Pittsburgh is ranked. If you go on the road and beat them by double digits, all of a sudden that alone, if Miami and Notre Dame are in the same competition pool or whatever the BS terminology they want to use, if they find themselves kind of close, that might be enough to swing them the other way, because who's Notre Dame playing the final week? Stanford? They'd be playing one of the worst defenses in the country for like the 20th time this season. So, yeah, that keeps us within striking distance. That, being 12 and not 13, that's, all these little things matter. So that's good. That's great news. Dogo Daddy saying Notre Dame has only beaten one team above 500. Yeah, man. Notre Dame has beaten the bottom of the barrel. Like, I'm going to be honest with you. Notre Dame, their best win, you can make the argument, was against USC, who's, they're a decent team. They're not bad. Or against Pitt, where they kind of just like put the throttle down on Pitt, who's a good team. So, that's probably their most impressive win, Pittsburgh. The 2 weeks that they got really challenged by like a legit team, I'm talking about us and Texas A&M, they lost both times. So there you go. And they've just feasted on the worst of the worst this season. They throttled Syracuse. They had a dogfight against BC, but nobody's talking about that. Everybody's talking about them putting 70 on Syracuse. Yeah, they beat the hell out of NC State, but so did we. So if you want to do the common opponent thing, we beat them by more. It's a lot of hypocrisy for sure. And when you compare the schedules side by side, Miami, I think if you go by who they played and where they were ranked when they played them and the state of the teams when they played them, you can definitely make the argument that Miami side by side had a tougher schedule and had, maybe not a tougher schedule, because Notre Dame had to play, technically they had to play Miami and they had to play Texas A&M, right? Miami, who did they have to play? Maybe they didn't have to play Texas A&M, but they had to play Florida State, who was ranked at the time. They had to play USF, who was ranked at the time. I don't remember if Florida was ranked at the time. They may have been like 25th or something. So they played a few ranked opponents. And then you factor in SMU, who got hot late and is ranked now. So how does that factor in? And you're going to play a ranked Pittsburgh team this Saturday. So I think Miami definitely has more quality opponents as far as, the amount of teams we played. Whereas Notre Dame started off with 2 tough teams and then have played Gaga the rest of the way. So you can definitely compare the schedules side by side and say, yeah, I think Miami overall had consistently a tougher schedule, especially the first half of the year. But yeah, so Miami at 12, that is great news. I still don't understand BYU over Miami. They have no top 40 wins. BYU has 1 loss, right? I think that's the main reason why. Let me see if are they showing week 13 yet? No, I don't think so. Yeah, BYU had the 1 loss, and I think that's why they're looking at amount of losses, which, that's fine. I think head-to-head, we would crush them, but you can't go off of hypotheticals. I want to be consistent here. You can't go off of hypotheticals. You have to go off of what's happened on the field. Utah definitely should not be ahead of us, 1,000%. They have 2 losses, and they got run all over by Kansas State, by a not very good Kansas State team, very mediocre, and they ran all over them. I think 500 and something yards. And then they got beaten down by Texas Tech. Like, that was the one real legit team they played, and they got embarrassed. That's another team that I think if you put us head-to-head against Utah and we're like, okay, there's something we're playing for, we bring our A game, yeah, I think we beat them by a couple of scores. If we get in, John, how do you think we do? How do I think we do in the playoffs? I mean, depends on the matchup. I could definitely see a scenario where we win a playoff game or 2. I could see a scenario where we get bounced in the first round. It really would depend on the matchup. Let me see the CFP bracket projection. Let's see what the latest is. Yeah, you're looking at teams like A&M, Georgia, Ohio State, Indiana. Those are like the top ones. Then you got Bama, Ole Miss. I think against Bama, we match up pretty well, believe it or not. We wouldn't get matched up with a team like North Texas because they'd just be like sneaking in, or we'd sneak in probably ahead of them. SMU, hopefully, hey, if we backdoor our way in through the ACC championship, then we'd get in instead of them, and then maybe we face Texas Tech. I'd like how we match up against Texas Tech. We can win that one. Rematch against Notre Dame. I'm sure the country would love to see that. Just like going into week 1, I would probably have that being a close game. It would be a battle of the trenches and a battle of who turns the ball over less. But definitely a game we can win again. Joey Gallo is such a tool. Yep, he is. I 100% agree. Revenge John from our 2022's first year. Pittsburgh beat the hell out of us 42-16. Oh, I remember that. That was final week of the regular season, 2022. I was actually at my buddy's wedding that night, and I'm kind of glad I missed the game because it was early in the game, and I was like, oh, let's check the score to see what's going on. And I think we were like down 7-0. Like, all right. I checked 30, like half an hour later, maybe we're down like 21-7 or something, or 21-0. And I was like, all right, well, that's the end of that crap Sunday of the season. So, yeah, I remember that vividly, sir. You don't have to remind me. But it was in our house. I was at the game when I was on vacation from Massachusetts. My friend got tickets. Yeah, 42-16. Well, I mean, the weather must have been beautiful that weekend. So I'm glad you got to visit. But that's a shitty way to like, hey, let me catch a Canes game while I'm down here. Yeah, that was a bad one. That was the one where that dude from Pitt was like hitting his head with the helmet and went viral because all his teammates freaked out. Ole Miss will be interesting first round for us. Ole Miss is legit. But I think our defense is legit as well. If we can slow down their offense, hold them under 30, Yeah, that would be an interesting matchup too. There's a handful of teams that I'm like, man, I like the matchup. You know, I think we got a shot. Then there's the teams like A&M. I just think is very well coached. They're a loaded roster. That would be an uphill climb. That would be a tough battle. Georgia, same thing. But, you can catch them on a bad day. You never know. Ohio State's just an absolute machine. To be fair, though, Ohio State has not been challenged like at all this year. So, we're about to see what they're truly made of in that rivalry game against Michigan. I believe it's in the big house, right? Ohio State plays Michigan at Michigan. So that's going to be, we'll see. They'll be tested there. Cold weather game, and we are having issues running the ball. Worries me. Pass pro is great, but run blocking is average. Yeah, we will get into that. And John, how about us against Oklahoma? Oh my God, I hope if the football gods smile down upon us and let us into the playoffs, and we get matched up with Oklahoma, dude, that would be the one, because I never forgot Brent Venables taking a shot at Mario and taking a shot at the Canes for going 5-7 his first year. Mind you, he went 5-7 his first year as well. He basically was like, yeah, I know I was bad this year, but at least I didn't lose by blah, blah, blah to Middle Tennessee or whatever. Yeah, that I never forgot that, and I would love to beat the hell out of Brent Venables. Screw that guy. Miami would beat Oklahoma. Their offense is putrid. Yeah, and Mateer's not 100%, so I think we could definitely feast there. Mateer or Beck, I remember everybody wanted Mateer healthy, yeah, but I don't know how healed that hand is. But anyway, I want to get to the VTech game really quick because there's a lot to get to. We could sit here and do projections all night about possible playoff matchups, but we got to make it there first. And the biggest hurdle we got to jump over is beating Pitt. That is not going to be an easy game. I project that to be a close one, a dogfight, a really physical battle. It's going to be in the cold, and I really hope they channel their the 2003 Canes and go out there and just lock it down on defense, because I think we're going to have to ride our defense to a victory. That said, I like our chances. Our defense is like number 11 or number 12 as far as points per game allowed. I think we allow 16 points a game on average. So, that gives me some confidence. I like our pass defense. We have forced teams to change their game plan when they face us to that short, quick passing game. A lot of motions, a lot of running the ball. We have forced teams out of their normal, like their usual scheme, which is good and bad, because like when we face them, it's like, well, they're going to throw a lot at us that we haven't seen on film. So you got to be ready for that. And I will give Coach Heatherman credit that he has had us pretty prepared. And even in games where maybe out of the gate we look a little lost and the scripted drives are gashing us a bit, but then after drive number 2, we settle down and we don't really allow much of anything after that, really, unless it's like some lucky play or some, BS penalty call or something that bails them out. Our defense has locked it down pretty well second, third, and fourth quarter all season. So I think that's going to be a key in this Pittsburgh game. But I'll go more into the Pittsburgh game on Thursday. Tonight, I want to go over the VTech game because there's a lot to get to. I had the chance to actually watch the game on the ESPN Skycast, like the Skycast version of the game. I don't know how many of you guys have done this before. I had done it a couple times in the past. And the reason I did it was because I don't have regular cable. I signed up. I've always had like Sling and stuff like that. Sling was having issues this weekend. So I was like, you know what? Let me check out the new ESPN app. I heard it's good. ESPN Unlimited, I think it's called. It's like $30 a month right now. I was like, all right, let's try this for a month. I signed up for it. I'll get to watch WWE War Games next weekend. So I get that with it because WWE moved from Peacock to ESPN. I don't know why. But I download the app. I sign up for it. But since it's regional coverage locally, it's not like the national ESPN game. You can't watch the ESPN telecast. So it gave you a choice. You can watch the Spanish version or you can watch the Skycast. I was like, ooh, let me do the Skycast because I've done it before. when the Heat played the Nuggets in 2023 in the finals, one of the games I saw on Skycast. And what that is instead of the regular like hard camera that just kind of follows the game that you normally watch on TV, it's in football, it's more of like it's that zoomed in sky cam that's like behind, kind of floating behind the quarterback in the backfield. And so you see like the linebackers in the secondary. You see everything. It's almost like you're at the game sitting in the end zone, but it's like zoomed in. Actually, more it's like you're on the field almost. So you see the view from behind the quarterback. And the best part about it is there are no announcers when you're watching the Skycast version. It was delightful. Okay. I've done this a couple of times now for UM games. I watched last year's game against Duke, actually, when Cam lit them up in the second half. Restrepo had that record-breaking catch when he took it to the house. Like, I saw that from behind, like the behind view. It was cool. You hear more of the crowd noise. You know, it's not, you don't hear the announcers at all. It's great. So because I watched that version, I didn't hear the announcers the whole time telling me that they're, you know, that they're surviving a scare. What I saw, and also you see that view of the trenches, so I saw us really physically beating them up a lot of the game. What I saw was a Miami team that controlled that entire game. We gashed them with play action and, you know, a little bit of quick tempo that first drive, some jet sweeps, some funky formations we hadn't shown yet. It was great. I saw us establish a nice little lead early, establishing points against an inferior opponent. That's big. And, yeah, I saw us march right down the field and score. We scored in 6 out of 8 drives. We, again, like, aside from some runs that we allowed, that we took some really bad angles, some poor open field tackling, that was some of the negative. But a lot of the positive was our D-line was eating. Linebackers, Chase Smith specifically, he had a great game. Justin Scott, Ahmad Moten looked like grown men out there, looked like the flashes of what – I mean, Justin Scott showed flashes of what he could be, that first-round type of talent that, you know, a 5-star D tackle should be, excuse me. And Ahmad Moten looked like an NFL D tackle right now. I mean, he was just a grown man. Mezzi, great game, very disruptive. He got in there a couple of times. I think he forced 2 fumbles, actually. I was going to say he forced 1, but I think he forced 2. Carson Beck was just dicing them up. So, you know, 4 touchdowns. He made 1 mistake the entire game. That was almost an interception. Thankfully it wasn't. I mean, honestly, that was his one not, you know, he made a few mistakes. That one was almost no. He made 1 mistake all game. He was nearly flawless the whole game. So yeah, I saw a game without the announcers in your ear. The reason I'm telling you this is without the announcers in your ear the whole time, you have a different feel for the game. What I saw was I could hear like the crowd is quiet. They're emptying out with 5 minutes to go in the game. And I just see a Miami team that while they didn't build a big enough lead to just like put their foot down and just ice it early, which they've had trouble doing this year, fine, whatever. But they absolutely controlled this game from beginning to end. This BS narrative that they're trying to push, that we survived a scare. Everybody screenshotted the headline, Miami survives a scare. It's just not true. It's false. No, those people did not watch the game. Or, you know, a memo was sent out, and that's the narrative they need to push to get Notre Dame in. Because it seems like going into the season, they're like, all right, committee, whatever you got to do, you know, Notre Dame's penciled in, you know, whatever you got to work, we got to pencil them in. We got to have Notre Dame in the playoffs, unless they just completely crap the bed and lose 3 or more games. But that's what it feels like, because I kid you not, I wish I had taken a screenshot of it, because by the time the noon games ended, I was watching the 3:30 games on my phone. I switched from TV to the phone. I'm watching it, and on the bottom ESPN ticker, it's showing the scores. And you know how sometimes it'll show the score and it'll show like a blurb, like a headline right after that or whatever. So the Notre Dame score pops up, 70-7 final. Next thing that shows is Notre Dame wins their 9th consecutive game after an 0-2 start. Word for word, that's what it said. Notre Dame wins their 9th consecutive game after an 0-2 start. Cool. The very next slide, the very next tick was the Miami score, 34-17. Right after that, Miami's second trip out of Florida, in parentheses, SMU loss. I shit you not, that is what it said. Notre Dame, it said the thing about the 9 consecutive wins, never mind that they're beating up on like literally some of the worst defenses in college football. And they want credit for that. And right underneath that, they have to harp on, oh, it's our second trip out of Florida. So what? Why has that been a talking point since the season started? Oh, it's only their, like, Mario doesn't set the schedule. What do you want? That's just how it worked out. How does the committee claim Notre Dame has a stronger schedule? I looked at their schedule after second loss, and they had a cupcake schedule. 100%. Their schedule was trash. They faced a ranked USC team and Pitt, who I think might have been ranked at the time also, and they squashed Pitt. A Pitt team that admittedly didn't care about the game. You heard it from the coach himself. I thought he was joking. I thought he was being sarcastic with the reporters. It sure seemed like they didn't care about that game. By the way, they played it. Yeah. It's just maddening to me. Their best win is either against USC or against Pitt. By far, those are the best. Those are the best wins. Our best win is Notre Dame. So this Notre Dame team that wants to claim, oh, we're one of the top 12, top 10 teams in the country, whatever, we deserve to be in. Well, we beat you. What does that say about us? Well, it was at the beginning of the season. That was a little different. No. Your resume, and the committee has said this, it doesn't matter when you win or lose, but they move that goalpost whenever the hell they feel like it. Your resume is the 12-game schedule. If I was in school and I got an F on my first exam, and let's say there's 5 exams throughout the semester, and on the last one I got 100, guess what they're going to do? They're going to average it out. They're not just going to ignore the F and pretend it didn't happen just because I got an A on the final exam. That's not how things work. Everything should be graded equally. You should be graded based on what has happened on the field. Otherwise, why play the games? Otherwise, you should have a season everybody play one game on Thanksgiving weekend, and we'll select, committee will step in and select the top 12 teams off of, I don't know, vibes. That's essentially what they're doing. And the committee loves to give excuses, never give us credit. Yeah. Well, they changed their arguments on the fly. It's really weird. I don't know if you guys seen this, but they'll say in one instance, yeah, head-to-head matters. In another instance, well, you got to look at the 2 losses and compare. You just skipped over the head-to-head part. And if you want to look at the losses, okay, we'll play that game. Yeah, we lost to SMU in overtime on the road. There was a lot of questionable officiating. I don't want to be the guy that sits here and blames the refs, but there was a very, very weak ticky-tack, unnecessary roughness call on Marquise Lightfoot. Should he have known better and held up? Yes. Do I think they should have thrown the flag? Absolutely the F not. They should not have thrown the flag. That he just popped them a little bit and held them and kept them from falling down. Whenever the player shows an effort to keep him from hitting the ground hard or something like that, or shows an effort of holding up, which he kind of did, they usually, keep the flag in their pocket. If it's Miami, if it's the orange and green, they will throw the flag pretty much every time. And that was a game-changing play. If you don't throw that flag, it's 4th and long. We probably win the game, and we're 11-1 right now, or 10-1 right now. So calls by the referees matter. Yes, I know there's other plays in the game, and maybe it shouldn't have come to that. Valid. We didn't play our best game. Still should have won the game. Something out of our control happened, and it sucks. I don't know why I got off on that tangent, but yeah, if you're comparing the losses, that's what it was. SMU is ranked now. Are they gonna take that into account? Well, no, it's where they were ranked when you played them. That's another goalpost that they move whenever the hell they feel like it, depending on what team they want to push. You know what is refreshing? We're furious about potentially going 10-2 in a regular season after a yearly average of 7-6 post 2017, and look forward to National Signing Day every year for wins. You're 100% right. I agree. Us potentially having the opportunity to finish the season 10-2 is big. It's big moving forward because it proves that last year wasn't a fluke because we had Cam. It shows that, oh no, the program really is getting better, because without Cam, when everybody was like, well, if we couldn't do it with Cam, we're never going to be back in this position, which there were a lot of idiots saying that. And now we step into this year, and really we looked better this season than we did last season. I'll explain why. Yes, we had the number one offense in the country. Yes, it was really fun to watch the passing attack with Cam and Restrepo and Horton and George, and it looked really fun. It was sexy, you know. But after the USF game, the defense got a little worse and a little worse and a little worse, and by the Georgia Tech game, it fell off a freaking cliff. So yeah, we started 9-0, but we were like nose diving to the finish line. It was concerning. This time, we have our stumble midseason. It sucks. I know. And I'm still pissed about that SMU game. I mean, like, we gave that game away. You stumble in the midseason, but you know what? I will give Mario Cristobal credit. While I will criticize him when criticism is earned, I will also praise him when it's earned. The man made the adjustments that we were all calling for. I don't know if it's just staying out of Shannon Dawson's way, or talking to Shannon Dawson, having a sit down with him and be like, hey, the handcuffs are off. Let's do this. Let's do that. Let's do that. And Dawson's like, done. All right. And to their credit, over the last 3 or so games, you know, they had to use a lot of trick plays early on to kind of spark things, but I'll give them credit. They've opened things up and been a lot more creative. They've gone deeper into the playbook. They're not just doing the same old and playing for the sticks. And, you know, getting to that 3rd and short, it felt like every freaking time, every set of downs, we had a 3rd and 2, and we were lining up in the same formation. And it was like a coin flip if we were going to get the 2 yards or not, because everyone knew what was coming. Now, in those situations, we're going 5 wide and calling a bubble screen. We're going 4 wide, Mally's in motion, and we call a jet sweep. We're showing different looks and doing different things now on those 3rd and short situations and in other situations. So I love the adjustments we've made since then, because it bodes well for this Saturday, and it bodes well potentially for the playoffs this year, but it also bodes well for the future, because it showed me that when Mario needs to get out of his own way, he'll do it. He might have done it a game too late, but hey, he still did it. We still have a chance. We're still playing for something. He did it, and now look how different the offense looks. We probably would have had a 3rd loss by now if we were still doing the same crap. But he made those changes, and I got to give him credit for that. And now we have a chance to finish strong for once, for the only time in 20 years aside from 2016, where pretty much every other year we've bottomed out in November. We have a chance to, after stumbling on November 1st, to finish strong, beat a really good Pitt team on the road, and kind of silence that narrative a little bit that Miami can't finish. So for many reasons, I think this 10-2, assuming we get it, if we beat Pitt this Saturday and we get the 10-2, it feels and looks a lot better than the 10-2 last year. If we beat Pitt the first time Miami have back-to-back seasons in 20 years. Yep. Since 2002, 2003, to be exact. If you combine the amount we have lost in the last 2 years, it's less than 20 points, all 4 combined. We don't get blown out anymore. Absolutely. No, I agree. it's gotten back to the point that kind of like early 2000s into the mid 2000s, like the Brock Berlin days, that we're still a great team. We're still a dominant program, all that stuff. But then, we were starting to like lose a game here and there in the regular season, that those losses, they stick with you forever. I still to this day remember that 10-6 Pittsburgh loss. I mean, not Pittsburgh, Tennessee at home. I didn't get to go to that game. I still to this day believe if I went to that game, we would have won. That's how superstitious I am. But that was one where I think Brock threw 2 red zone interceptions at the end of that game. And then even then, our defense made a stop. We had a chance to – got the ball back with like a minute plus left. And then Sean Taylor fumbles the punt because he was he was lining up as the punt returner. I still to this day remember that loss. I remember the VTech loss where Brock threw a couple of pick sixes in that game and they blew us out like 31-7. I remember the overtime game against Clemson where they came and beat us in the Orange Bowl. We blew a 17-3 lead. Those stick with you. So I think we're back up to that point that, yeah, we're not losing very often, but when we do, it is like in the most heartbreaking way imaginable. It's not just, oh, yeah, they lost again. Who'd they lose to? Oh, they lost to Duke, like 31-14. Oh, yeah, they suck. We're not that anymore. Now we're back to the point where, yeah, we might lose a couple and they're like you want to just rip your guts out when it happens because they lose by like, man, if we just made a play here, the game's different. At least we're back to that point. But that said, yes, Mr. Foster, go up to Pitt and handle business. Yeah, I don't care if we win by 3. I don't care if we win by 80. I mean, if we win by 80, we're in the playoffs for sure. But it's just for my sanity, just get this win. I don't see us blowing them out. That's why, I'm not even really throwing that out as a possibility because this is their Super Bowl as well. This is their national championship. And I believe Pitt is still in the running for the ACC. They're still in the running for one of those spots to go to the championship game. I think it would be either us. Obviously, it's either us or them. We have the tiebreaker if we beat them. So they're still playing for something. We're still playing for something. Teams get up to play us and give us a tough battle when they're 3-6. Imagine a team like this that's a scrappy, well-coached team in the cold on the road that also has something to play for. This is going to be very tough. Now, that said, we're also playing for something. Usually, final week of the season, we're not playing for something. The only times I remember it happening were 2017. And even that game, it was like we were still going to the ACC championship. It didn't matter if we beat Pitt or not. But had we beat them, maybe we sneak into the Final Four. You never know. But 2017, we were playing for something, final game of the season. Last year and this year, that's pretty much it. So I'd like to see how we handle this from a mentality standpoint. FSU 2, yeah. The FSU is in some deep doo-doo. And I wouldn't want to be where they're at. You kind of feel bad for them after a while, honestly. ESPN commentators only wanted to talk about point differential between Miami, Notre Dame, and Syracuse. Never said anything about us beating Notre Dame. No, they never said anything about us beating Notre Dame. They never said anything about the other common opponent, NC State, who we slaughtered. They did too, but we beat them by more. So if you want to play that game, that's there. They don't want to bring up the fact that they were beating BC, I think 12-10 or something in the third quarter of that game. BC was like 1-7 that week. Are you kidding me? Committee is going to look out for Notre Dame, unfortunately. Yeah, they do it all the time. John, I love how they change the arguments. Yeah, they do it all the time, dude. Despite being a non-conference team, Notre Dame falls under the same ilk as SEC teams ratings-wise. That's an excellent point. That's an excellent point. That love that SEC teams get and the benefit of the doubt that they get just because of that patch on their chest. Notre Dame gets the same thing. Why? Because they're Notre Dame. They're America's sweethearts. They're the media darlings. They have been since the freaking it's before the 80s, 60s, 70s. They're like America's team college version. That's how people see them. For me, the game that will sting forever is getting robbed at Ohio State. Well, yeah, that was the original, like, rip your heart out of your chest kind of game. Glenn Sharp getting called for pass interference, yeah, like 5 minutes after the play. We need to play our most complete game of the year in all three facets. Pitt got up for Notre Dame, and they beat them. We need to do the same, yeah. We just need to go independent. I would love to go independent, but I don't think it's going to happen. To broke to fire Mike. Yep, saw that one. Go to Pitt, handle business. Yeah, okay, I got all these. But by the way, one of these comments reminded me of something. Oh, the refereeing. I need to go into that. So we went over the good of this game. Offense was pretty efficient. They only had 8 drives, but scored points on 6 of the 8 drives. So, you know, it's not like we lacked scoring. But the bad thing is when you're limiting the amount of drives you have, any mistakes you make loom large. 2 bad mistakes the entire game. One, Alex Bauman's drop. We go up 21-3 instead of 17-3. Well, great play call, well drawn up play. He's open. You just got to reach up, grab that thing, and haul it in. He didn't haul it in quick enough. The ball was kind of out and exposed, and it got punched out. You secure that ball, it's 21-3. It's probably a different feel heading into the locker room. Maybe we tack on it another 3 on top of that. Maybe it's 24-3 heading into the locker room. And then the other big mistake was Alex Bauman. Sorry. I want to pick on Bauman, I guess. Brockermeyer, the center, snapping the ball almost into the end zone. Yeah. We're lucky the ball didn't roll into the end zone for a safety, honestly. So that was a huge mistake that absolutely killed that drive. We had just gotten a first down, too, I think, to kind of get out of the shadow of our end zone. And it looked like, okay, we're going to start like marching, move the ball. If we get a touchdown here, it's game over. I like over. So those 2 mistakes happened. And if you only have 8 drives and those things happen on 2 of your 8 drives, yeah, it affects the game a lot. Whereas if you had 12 drives and you scored on 10 of them or 11 of them, like now those mistakes don't loom as large because you had a huge lead when the mistakes happen. So that's my negative there. Other negatives, run defense has to get better. You got to really, really have better angles. It's that initial run that Virginia Tech had, first play of the game they had from offense. I mean, Xavier Lucas just took a horrific angle. He should have stayed out near the sideline, kind of by the numbers. He came all the way into the hash mark almost, and running back was like, okay, ran right around him down the sideline. Like, dude, you got to funnel everything back in. You do that, I mean, they probably don't kick the field goal on that first drive. Penalties, some of them were ticky-tack. I'm sorry. The one on their opening kickoff, like when we kicked it to them the first time after we went up 7-0, 3 guys went for the tackle. The whistles are blowing. They all kind of like, they're hugging. They don't slam him to the ground. They don't drive him to the ground. When it's a small group, like a mob of dudes, like the pile's moving, it's kind of hard to stop because everyone's legs are moving. You can tell they kind of like tried to hold up and tripped and fell. They didn't like follow through and fall on the guy to try to hurt him. That's what that penalty call is for. That's not what happened. They kind of just ran. Their momentum took them, and then they tripped. Terrible call, in my opinion. Because I'm looking at the replay, I'm like, God, it's kind of hard for them to stop themselves because of their momentum. If you played and you're in one of those scrums, it's like it's really hard. You're not trying to hurt anybody. You're just, again, your momentum just takes you to the ground. How does Damari bite in a double move on 4th and long? I'll tell you how, because the guy made a great move right at the sticks, and Damari didn't want to allow a first down. Chances of them throwing a bomb on fourth and whatever it was are small. So like he's just trying to keep it in front of him. The guy made a good fake. He went to try to like make a play, make a tackle, and the guy ran right past him. And even then, the ball was just an absolute like, not a Hail Mary, but pretty close. And the guy made an incredible catch. So it was a great play. Refs sucked all season, especially ACC. And penalties for yep. Weathercast showing thick cloud covering snow flurries Thursday and Friday. Boys have to play sound football. Absolutely. This is where the type of game we played early in the season, where it's like that ground and pound style, since that's kind of like our bread and butter and we can fall on that, that could help us on Saturday. But yeah, some of the other bad calls, there was a BS holding call on Okunlola that killed the drive. That was a terrible call. I think we had to settle for a field goal there. There was the accidental whistle on the play by Jones, which actually it ended up helping us, actually. But again, watching the Skycast, I didn't know that the reason they were reviewing it, because the refs did a horrible job of explaining what the hell was going on. The announcers had to explain it, that there was an accidental whistle. They just, it was like a do-over. I'm like, what? I didn't know what happened. I had to find out afterwards. So there was an accidental whistle, but on an accidental whistle, it's kind of weird because like everybody stops. It's kind of throws off the play. That might have thrown us off too. So yeah, it might have helped us, but it just kind of messed up everything. The fourth downs, the multiple fourth down tries, that there was a timeout after the behind the back one-handed catch that the guy made. From everyone I hear, I still haven't seen a clear shot of it. It sounds like, again, I watched the game. It happened so fast, it's hard to tell. I need an actual replay. We never got a replay. Guy turned around, made it look like he trapped it, but the replay view that I got watching the game was like this Motorola Razr flip phone quality video that I couldn't see anything. And apparently on the regular ESPN telecast, that's what they also showed. So that shouldn't have happened. Then they call the timeout, and then they go after the timeout, line up for another play to attempt a fourth down. We stuff it. Whistles blow after we stuff it. And they're like, oh, no, we're going to review the – it's like, what was the first timeout for? You didn't review it then? It made no sense to me. Absolutely no sense. It was a disaster. The face mask that they called on Cam Pruitt, very ticky-tack. 99% of the grab was the shoulder pad. He grabbed the shoulder pad and turned him with that, and then it's like his fingers kind of grazed the bottom of the face mask. I don't think there was much of a grab of the face mask, to be honest with you. Pretty much all of it was on the shoulder pad. I wish that was a reviewable play, but it's not, unfortunately. And that, admittedly, it's hard to catch real time. The guy's head jerks that way. Yeah, they default to, oh, it's a face mask, and they usually throw the flag. It shouldn't have been. They read the play beautifully. They had the guy dead to rights. Just tackle him low, and you got him, and it's a fourth down stop. But, and there was one fourth down. I don't know if you guys saw this, that we stopped on. There was one fourth down attempt early in the game that we stopped Kyron Jones outright. We stopped, and we got the ball back. This was another one later that we stopped him. It looked pretty clear as day that he was short of the line to gain, like by about that much. They show the replay. They review it conveniently during the commercial break. And that's another thing that really bothered me is in the ACC, they're like, oh, we're going to show you the inside of the booth. We're going to show you what they're discussing. Not for our game. Why? I'd like to know why. Haven't gotten an answer to that. But on that play, they reviewed it during the commercial. Conveniently, they're like, oh, no, he got the first down. The play's upheld. When the replay shows, his helmet kind of reaches the yellow line, but the ball's here at his chest. It doesn't reach the yellow line. It looked pretty clear that he didn't make it, but whatever. All that to say, we won by 17. Yes, there was the final last second play to Malachi on 4th and 2. I love that Mario went for it. I love that he basically, as Dan Levitard said about Jimmy Johnson all those years ago, I think it was the U Part 1 documentary, where it was like he was coaching with his middle fingers in the air. Loved it. I loved it. It was an FU to everybody. So 34-17 to me was a more, that score, if you just look at the score, that is a more accurate depiction of how this game really went, in my opinion. I don't know if you guys agree. At no point did I feel threatened in that game, even when they recovered the onside kick. Really, they recovered the onside kick, and I just like rolled my eyes. I'm like, really? I knew we were going to stop them. They were down to their backup quarterback. The game was done. It was over. It just bothered me that we weren't winning by like 27. Let's see. You cannot review a previous play. I thought that was a CFP rule. That's why they try to run a play before they review. Yes. And why was it one camera view quality that on flip phone? Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out. Yeah, no, it's what I'm saying is you can do that, but that was the second timeout that they called before snapping that play. And in addition to that, the whistles you don't hear the whistles until we stuff it in the backfield. Like they let the play happen and then they blew the whistle. So it was like one timeout, like they're rushing to run a play. They snap it, they call a timeout. I'm guessing, it's to review the catch. Nothing really happens. They line up again, snap it, we stuff it in the backfield, then they blow the whistle again. Then they're like, previous plays under review. What was the previous timeout for it? That's what bothered me. It's like you're wasting 2 TV timeouts to do this. So it seemed weird. The ACC has got to get rid of these great value dollar general refs. Yes, they do. Why are media pundits and CFP committee ignoring the CFP tiebreaker rules? I missed this one. CFP tiebreaker rules specify that tiebreakers are 1 head-to-head results and 2 results versus common opponents. This means that Miami has tiebreakers over Notre Dame, Alabama, and Oklahoma. Because F Miami, that's why. That's why, Benson. That's the best answer I can give you. Good stuff, John. Yeah, and all in all, we controlled that game. 100% we did. Look, I don't want to take this for granted. And I'll end on this. Winning on the road is not easy in college football. Especially if you're a big program, especially if you're a brand, you always have a target on your back. Lane Stadium is a tough place to play. That, even for a noon kickoff, they filled the place. They brought the noise. They brought the energy. And yes, they're a bad team, and we showed that on the field. We showed them that we were better. But winning on the road is not easy. That is something that we have consistently, since 2004, since joining the ACC, we have not been able to do. Win in conference on the road. I said it a few shows ago, and I'll say it again. I'll reiterate it. From 2004 to 2024, 20-year span, not including this year because this year's not final yet. Our winning percentage, ACC on the road, is 52%. So we're basically a 500 football team on the road in conference. That's no bueno. That's no good. So I'm not taking these for granted. To go out there and look how we looked, like, hey, yeah, we probably should have blown them out by 30 something, but hey, no, we controlled the game. We won. We're 9-2 now, number 12 after tonight, and in position right on the bubble to maybe just, one impressive showing away from sneaking in. So I don't want to take anything for granted. We're in a good spot. Program-wise, if you kind of pan back, look big picture, we're okay. Now, lots riding on this game. You lose this one, finish 9-3. It's not saying Mario's seat gets warm or anything. Obviously not. That shouldn't even be brought up for discussion. But, leaves a really, really bad taste in your mouth heading into the season, heading into the off season. And you're doing like what that one commenter said, that we're waiting for signing day for moral victories. So I will leave you guys with that. But that's great news that we're number 12. And we got a big one this Saturday. I'll be back on Thursday to talk about that matchup. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe, share, comment, do all that. All those little buttons, to interact, they all help. So, Chris, one more comment. Say we need to show up to Pitt and pull out the W the same way we did in 2021 last game of the season. Yeah. 2021 last game of the season. What did we do? Oh, yeah. Well, we didn't play Pitt. I think we played Duke, I want to say, on the road. 2021 last game of the season. Yeah, we destroyed Duke that game, but we were not playing for anything. But that same year we played Duke or Pitt on the road when they had Kenny Pickett, and we showed up and we got the W. I would like to see something similar. All right, guys. Thank you. Have a good night. Go Canes. I will see you all Thursday night.